Game of Thrones isn't giving up its throne as one of the most popular franchises of our time, so it's no surprise that HBO keeps expanding one of its crown jewels with spin-offs and prequels. George Martin has put in the work, penning numerous stories ripe for adaptation. Just look at House of the Dragon, which has already launched its second season, diving back into the Targaryen Civil War. But what about the other spin-offs, of which there are a dozen in the works? Despite the hype, the much-anticipated prequel about the doom of Valyria and Aegon's conquest is so early in production that HBO could still tweak it or even scrap it entirely. The Jon Snow sequel, supposed to smooth over the disastrous finale of the original series by exploring events after the Night King's death, is also in a questionable state. Forget about the other spin-offs for now. The only thing we have concrete information on is Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which has cast its main actors, is in full swing with filming, and has even given us an official first look. The image reveals Duncan the Tall, one of the show's protagonists, played by Peter Claffey. He's far from a household name with a filmography of just 5 projects, but that's a good thing. It makes it easier for viewers to embrace his character without any past roles getting in the way. Claffey, hailing from Ireland, even played rugby for the national under-20 team. In short, his physicality is spot on for the role of Duncan. Before we dive into more details, let's provide a brief overview of what Night of the Seven Kingdoms is all about. George Martin wrote several novellas to complement his main series, A Song of Ice and Fire. The first tale about Dunk and Egg was published in 1998 and ended in 2010. This trilogy, composed of The Hedge Knight, The Sworn Sword, and The Mystery Knight, was eventually compiled into a single volume called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. The first season of the new series is expected to adapt The Hedge Knight, set between the events of House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. However, this trilogy takes place about 90 years before Daenerys, so don't expect familiar faces. The events of House of the Dragon are set 70 years prior, so none of its characters should appear in this new spin-off either. Night of the Seven Kingdoms will be a self-contained project. Joining Peter Claffey's Dunk is his squire known as Egg, played by Dexter Ansel. At just 9 years old, Dex seems perfectly suited for his new role. This will be his first major project aside from a few minor roles. It's going to be interesting to watch these relatively unknown actors interact on screen. One of the key intrigues is that one of the main characters belongs to the Targaryens. Let's avoid any spoilers for now. The official synopsis reveals that Dunk and Egg travel across Westeros, interacting with common folk and lords under Targaryen rule, who are in the later stages of their reign. This might disappoint fans of House of the Dragon eagerly awaiting dragons, as the last of them died a few decades prior. However, we will get a bunch of new Targaryens. Sam Spruell will play King Maekar, known as a cruel ruler more inclined to solve problems with force than diplomacy. His reign was marked by internal conflicts and rebellions, but he strove to maintain order in the kingdom. Maekar's son, Prince Aerion, will be played by Finn Bennett from True Detective. Bertie Carvel takes on the role of Baelor Breakspear, Maekar's brother and Lord of Dragonstone. It's worth noting that Night of the Seven Kingdoms has been in development since 2021, and in that time it's amassed a pretty impressive team. For instance, the pilot episode was written by George Martin himself. In May, Owen Harris was hired to direct the first 3 episodes and serve as an executive producer, setting the tone for the series. To say the team is experienced is an understatement, so the series should be quite compelling. Drawing analogies, many compare Night of the Seven Kingdoms to The Mandalorian in the Star Wars universe, which is fair since we'll be delving more into the life of Westeros beyond the struggle for the throne. It's a sort of road movie with an adult and a child at the forefront. In the lore of Game of Thrones, a hedge knight is a type of wandering knight without a lord. They travel in search of work and participate in tournaments to earn money. The new series will tell the story of Dunk the Tall's journey. While many fans thought 2024 wouldn't be a good year for the project to start, the opposite happened. HBO quickly greenlit the project. Warner Brothers Discovery's boss David Zaslav confirmed that he's a big fan of Game of Thrones and is willing to greenlight any spin-off or prequel if George Martin is involved. Personally, I'm thrilled that Martin is on board as a writer and producer. As for the premiere date, HBO has announced that the release is expected next year. This was a brief preview without spoilers. I'll cover all the plot details and theories in a separate video. Just let me know if you're interested in the A Song of Ice and Fire franchise and I can release videos on it more frequently. Subscribe.